Board Game Maniacs! Maniac Rob here to bring you another battle report. This battle report was in the makings for a while. I did an unboxing a while ago on the channel, and I planned on playing this game because when I seen it, and I fell in love with this game because number one, it's Warlord, and I love Warlord games, and number two, it's an historical game, which again is a type of game that I enjoy immensely. I love it. But I bought into this game. I did an unboxing. I was going to play it again, but unfortunately I didn't get around to it because there's other videos that kind of took precedence. But today is the day that we do a dogfight in the sky. That's right. It's Blood Red Skies by Warlord Games. It is a two-player game, and it takes place in World War II. Now, you can be different factions like Germans, you can be the US, you can be Britain, you can be Soviets. There's, I think, 6 factions. I could be wrong, but I think there's 6 factions in total. Today, we are going to play the very first scenario in the scenario book. And this is your introductory one to get you started in playing this game. Now, there's basic rules, and there's also advanced rules. We are going to probably try to play a combination of both of basic and advanced. This is the very first time I've ever played this game. I watched some videos onto it, and it seems not too difficult. But as always, because this here is a new game that I am playing, there are probably going to be a couple of rules mistakes. And if there is rules mistakes, please just comment down below and say like, hey, you made this rule mistake. Look at the rule book on page so-and-so, and it will tell you how to correct that. And because of that, that's how I learned how to play the games, because of you guys, the viewers out there and girls. You comment on my videos, and it teaches me even better how to play the game, and I love that. So please keep the comments going. And as always, keep the subscriptions rolling in so I can get more subscribers. And it helps keep the lights on. It helps me play more games and get more games. That's all what it is. Board Game Maniacs is a YouTube page that loves playing board games and tabletop games and VR games and streaming games and role-playing games. We are a vast channel of different types of games, as you'll see if you go to our YouTube channel, Board Game Maniacs, and check it out. Anyhow, with this game, Blood Red Skies, it is the Battle of Britain. I don't have my glasses on, but the Battle of Britain. Now, this here game is your dogfighting one team against the other team. Now, they say in the rule book that an average game of 6 planes per side can take no more than 45 minutes to play. Now, this video may be longer because we're not playing with 6 planes with the basic first scenario, but what we're doing is only playing with 3 planes, but I'm going to be explaining things as I learn them and as I read into the book. I'm going to explain to you what I picked, what the cards are, and everything else, and this is according to the scenario number 0 into the scenario rulebook. So without further ado, let's go to the game. Let's look at the table, look at the planes, and let's get this dog fight on the go. Before we go on with the game and talk about the planes, I just want to show you a little bit about what I have set up here. So I bought an extra pack of dice here, but you do get dice with the core box. They're specialty rules. I'm not going to go over in detail what everything is here. If you want to know more information about that, check out the unboxing video on my channel for unboxing the Blood Red Skies Battle of Britain. But you can see there's 1 spade. That is a 6. And no matter what test you take, the only way you can pass it is by rolling a 6. Or if you roll more than 1, it's considered a critical. But that's for the dice. This is a quick reference sheet so you don't have to keep referring into the rules. And it is double-sided, as you can see. It's probably going to come in very handy. The core rulebook explains all the rules. And again, this rulebook is very small. It's only 16 pages, so it's not a lot of reading that has to be involved to play this game. And then you have this one here, which is your scenario book. Now, another book that I don't have in the table here that you get, or booklet, because it's only very small, is the advanced rules. But I don't have that one there. But this is your scenario. It's Take Off. And we are playing none other than Intruder Flight. It's scenario number 0. And it states, Intruder, Missions were high speed, usually high altitude fights made with individual aircrafts into enemy airspaces. They were undertaken for a variety of purposes, whether to photograph, reconnaissance, bombing, hit and run raids. I gotta read with my glasses, I don't got them. I keep saying that, I keep forgetting. Anyhow, continuing on. Hit and run raids are even for the purpose of attacking enemy planes over their own airfield as they take off or land. Interception of an intruder flight usually comes down to one or two planes that manage to scramble fast enough to catch the fast-moving menace. One or two planes. So you can see here, this is a map and there's your deployment zones. It shows you how to set the board up. And also there's two planes on one side and one on the other. Now you can have 2 and 2 if you want, but I'm trying to stick it exactly with the scenario 0 of intruder flight. So you have one taken off here, which is going to be the intruder, and you have 2 of the other enemy aircrafts. On top of that, starting advantage level, it tells you got to roll a die to be able to find out what plane is in advantage, disadvantage, or neutral. I'll explain it as we go along. Special rules for recon. The intruder player may opt to use a twin engine plane for the intruder in this scenario. He may also opt to use a special stripped down high-speed reconnaissance type of whatever plane is chosen. This reduces the plane's firepower to 0, but adds a +1, 50 miles an hour, to the speed. Leaving the battle area. If a plane leaves the table, it leaves the scenario altogether and may not return. The intruder plane, or planes, can win a victory by exiting from opposite table edge to the one where they deploy. So, the intruder is here, and the way the intruder wins is if it goes all the way and exits the playing area. Now, a standard game is played onto a 3-foot by 3-foot surface, but as you can see with my table, it is a 6x4, and I'm just going to keep it 6x4. I'm not marking out, 3x3, because what my objective here is to show how to do the movement and how to do the fighting and everything. So if by chance the intruder, which is here, is able to get to the long edge here, they win the game. But these two are going to try to shoot down that fighter to stop it. Also, you see here for game length, the scenario continues until all planes of one player retreat or have left the table. Now, for the victory conditions for this, the intruder player wins by exiting his plane from the opposite table edge. The intercepting players win by preventing this. Victory can also be achieved by driving off the opposite squadrons via shot down planes and accumulating boom chits. We'll explain what the boom chits are while we're playing the game. Recommended forces for intruder flight. RAF photo reconnaissance over France, April 1941. So this is when this scenario, intruder flight, takes place. It's a photo reconnaissance mission over France in April of 1941. So the intruder is an RAF. One squadron of one element comprising one Spitfire 2 with the recon conversion detail above counts as a Spitfire PR Mach 4 and pilot skill of 3. Trait card is 1x type turn theater cards, radar support and clear skies. Doctrine cards is high altitude and performance. Again, we'll go over what each of these cards means as I'm showing you the planes. Inceptors, Luftwaffe. So this is the other team. So you have the intruder doing the recon, then you have the other ones that are on the other side trying to stop the intruder from doing recon. One squadron of one element comprising of 2 BF-109Es, pilot skill 4 and 3. So the BF-109E is actually the German planes. Now the Spitfires is the British, just to let everybody know that. So trait cards is 1 great dive, 1 great climb. Theater cards, radar support, heavy flank presence. Doctrine card is seasoned pilots. Now, that is it for the scenario 0, Intruder Flight. So let's look at the planes and the cards. What you're looking at here is a Spitfire 2 single engine fighter card. Now, it is double-sided. It does have some information about the plane, and it has what faction it belongs to, and it also has the number 31 onto it. The number 31 stands for the point value of this plane. So when you are playing this game, you can play 6 planes, or you can talk to your opponent and you can play equal number of points, like 100 points. You could play a 1,000-point game if you really want to, and there's upgrades and so on and so forth. But let's look at the other side of the card here, which gives the nitty-gritty about the Spitfire 2. So the first one is a 1, that is your firepower. So that's 1 dice that you use for your firepower. Your second one is your agility, and that's 3 dice. And your third is your speed, so 7 is 7 inches. And also it gives you the actual optimal speed of that plane is 357 miles per hour. The trait it has is a tight turn. Let's take a look at the cards that it told us to take in the scenario 0. So for tight turn, a lightweight aircraft and large wings allow this plane to turn better. Play. On a plane with this trait during its movement, do. So it says play. That's what you need to have for the play. It has to have tight turn, which it does. And do. The plane may take its normal 45-degree turn at any point in its movement, not just at the end. So if a plane don't have a tight turn trait, at the end of the turn it can move up to 45 degrees by using this measuring instrument. And we'll show you how to do that as the game goes, because I don't 100% know how to do it yet. Again, this is my very first time playing this game, so hopefully we'll get the rules all right. But if not, comment down below and let me know what page number so I can refer, because again, all of you teach me how to play the games, and I love that. Moving on to radar support. Now these 2 blue cards here, like light blue, they're called theater cards. This one is your aircraft trait. So your theater cards. Radar support is number 1. Radar could guide fighters into highly advantageous intercept courses from beyond visual range. Again, I'm trying to focus here because I'm not wearing my glasses. Play. Play this card during deployment. So during your deployment phase, so when we're deploying, I can play radar support. Do. Make a maneuver test. For each friendly plane, any that scores success, which is in a 6, automatically begins the game with advantage. And I'll explain to you about advantage, neutral, and disadvantage in a moment, because we're going to look at the book for that too as well. And the next one is your clear skies. I'm keeping on just rambling on and on. Perfectly, because I really want to play this game, perfectly flying conditions with limited cloud cover. Play. Play this card during deployment. So again, during deployment, you would play this card. Do. Remove up to 2 cloud markers of your choice from the table. But as you can see, I don't have any cloud markers on the table because I don't know how to play with the cloud markers yet, and I want to start off with the basics of basics, even though that we are using the advanced rule set with the cards. But when you're playing basic rules, you don't need to use any of these. You just use your fighter pilots and you go into battle. But we're going to try with the advanced. But again, it's a combination of basic and advanced. Basic because no clouds, advanced because we're using these cards. The last card for the Spitfire is a Doctrine card. Now this Doctrine card, high altitude performance. Air forces with a climb advantage use special tactics to exploit it and gain tactical edge. Bonus, great climb. Play. On an advantaged friendly plane using the outmaneuver pilot action, do. The pilot gains +2 to their skill for the attempt. And again, it tells you pilot test. So this you keep. But you can see on these 2 cards, it's removed. So after you do use these, and this is on deployment, you remove them from your game. And this one here, tight turn, if you use this, you can discard. You have to discard after use. And that is it for the side of the British for the Spitfire 2. And you can see these are boom chits. I'll explain them as we go on. Again, CHIT. This is your range for shooting. This is your, again, for your angles. This lets you know you place this down by your plane after you activate it. And this is for higher grounds, I think. And you see this is your measuring device. That's it. So let's look at the Spitfire 2 plane and how it's painted, and then we'll move on from there. You can see the Spitfire 2 plane that is right here. Now, I airbrushed these 90%, and I only touched up with the brush, like the tip and parts of the engine right here, if you can see it, like the exhaust, I guess. And then I painted the windshields of it. Now, this here is a Pilot Scale 3, you can see, and there's an arrow here. So that is the way, the front facing of the plane. So when you're putting these onto the stand, there's only one way they can fit on, which is great. Warlord has made this very easy to paint them. Then there's no assembly of these planes. These are all one piece, and you just paint them. And the painting of this is super fast because of the size of them. You can see they're 90-degree arcs. You can see all around. Now there's sometimes that when you're shooting at a plane and you're going head on, or if you're at the rear of it or the sides, there's different things you can do. I'll explain that if we encounter it during the game. But that is a Spitfire right there, or should I say the Spitfire 2. Really nice looking miniature. Good detail for how small it is. Next, let's look at the BF-109E single engine fighter. So again, we know they're pretty equal in stats. So they have 1 for their firepower, 3 for their agility, and 7 inches for the movement. The speed of this is 354, as opposed to the Spitfire is 357. So the Spitfires are a little bit faster than the BF-109Es. Now the traits of this one though was great climb and great dive. Let's look at the cards and see what ones the Scenario Zero told us to take. Okay, the cards that we are taking from Scenario, again, this is the Doctrine card. We'll look at that one first because this is how we got it laid out. Seasoned Pilots. Seasoned pilots outperform trainees on every level. Bonus, great climb. In reaction to a friendly plane failing a maneuver test, so a friendly plane, the plane rolls or re-rolls the dice for the maneuver test. So this lets you re-roll any failed maneuver tests. But it's a pilot test skill, so this stays with you the whole game. You don't throw it out, or discard I should say. Then you have great climb and great dive. So great dive. The plane's heavy engine and low drag airframe means it can dive faster. Play. On a plane with the trait burning advantage to dive. So that's when you play it, and what you do is add the plane's maximum move instead of 6 when burning advantage to dive. So when you're diving in this game, you can only go to 6 inches for doing a dive. But this here lets you go the maximum speed. So if you look at this, the maximum speed is 7, so you get to move an extra inch if you're doing a dive. So great climb. And again, these ones are aircraft traits. A powerful engine and thin wings meant this plane could outclimb its enemies. Play. In reaction to an enemy plane within 12 inches climbing for advantage. Do. The enemy plane must pass a maneuver test to succeed. And again, these two are discards. Let's look at the other 2 cards, which is your theater cards. So heavy flank presence. Operating in areas with heavy flak, not flank, heavy flak presence. Blah, I can't read. Operating in areas with heavy flak was fought with peril. Jeez, I gotta get my glasses. Play. In reaction to a disadvantaged enemy plane activating, roll a deflection shooting attack against the aircraft using 3 dice. And you discard this. Radar support. Radar could guide fighters onto highly advantageous intercept courses from beyond visual range. Play. Play this card during deployment. And do is make a maneuver test for each friendly plane. Any that scores a success automatically begin the game with advantage. Now, I do have radar support for the Spitfires too as well. So again, this is on deployment. This one is not. This is discard and this is remove. So that is the cards, and you can see they also have the activation and also the in-the-air higher. Okay, my brain's not working right now. But that is it. Let's look at the two Spitfire. Let's look at the two Bf-109E single-engine fighters for the Germans. There you can see the two fighters. This is the pilot skill of 3, and this one is a pilot skill of 4. And they're all nice and dirty because they've seen a lot of combat. Now, in the book it does state like what each pilot skill means. 2 is your lowest, 5 is your highest, they're an ace pilot. So with 3, you know, kind of seen a little bit of combat. 4 is a veteran, I think it is, not an ace. I'm going to look into the book to double check for that, but I'll explain as we go on. But there are the two fighters for the German side. The factions you can get for the game are British, German, American, Soviet, and Japanese. So 5, not 6. I don't know where I'm getting 6 from. And as I stated before, for the different pilot skills, it goes from 2 to 5. 2 is a rookie, a basic trained pilot with little or no experience in air combat. 3 is average, a pilot has flown in combat before or who has exceptionally good training. 4 is a veteran, an experienced pilot who has flown lots of sorties and fought many battles. And number 5 is an ace, an exceptional skilled pilot with multiple enemy kills. That is your pilot skills right there. During this scenario, it tells you to roll a d6, and this is how you determine what advantage level your pilots stay in. So 6 or a 5 is advantage, 4 or 3 is neutral, and 2 and 1 is disadvantage. But I think we have some cards to help us out there. Let's take a look at that. Before we look at the cards and start the deployment, I just want to give a shout out to Table War. You know, you can go to tablewar.com and you can check out many things that they have to offer, such as this glorious mat that they have sent me. Thank you, Table War, for sending me this mat. It's a 6x4 mat. They have different sizes and a lot of different print designs on them. These mats are very durable. They have neoprene on the back, I think it is. You roll them up, you can store these, and they'll last you a lifetime for many years of gameplay. Thank you again, Table War. Again, go to tablewar.com to check out what they have. They have mats, cases, photo booth. They have so many things. Just go check them out. It's definitely worthwhile. Let's look at the Spitfire, because right now they have initiative because there's only 1 plane as opposed to 2. But clear skies. This has to do with clouds, but because we don't have any clouds we're playing with, this card is I'm just gonna flip it over because we can't use it. Now, radar support. Play this card during deployment. Make a maneuver test for each friendly plane. Any that score a success automatically begin the game with advantage. So this here means that Spitfire can become advantage. So let's do that, and we're gonna remove this. So I'm gonna flip this over, and we're gonna do a maneuver test, and hopefully they're going to start the game advantage. To do a maneuver test, what you do is you take the pilot skill, and the Spitfire is a 3, and you add the agility, which is 3, so that's going to be 6 dice, and all you need is to roll 1 6 to have a success. So let's see here, that's 6 dice, roll it, and if so, he's going to start advantaged. It's going to be really difficult because I never rolled not even 1 6. So then that radar support, I think it's called, if I'm not mistaken. No, that's clear skies. Radar support. This one. So it's removed. So this is removed from play. I failed the radar support. Therefore, I think the radar from a previous battle that the Spitfire was in, that, you know, kind of got a little damage there. So that fails. Let's do the radar support now for the BF-109Es. Now there's 2 of them. Where I say there's two of them, but with the radar support it says Play this card during deployment. Make a maneuver test for each friendly plane. So it don't matter how many planes I have into my squadron, you do it for all of them. So I'm going to flip this radar support over to let me know that I did it. Now you can see on there, one pilot skill is 3, the other is 4. So then if you add it up, that's going to get 6 and that's going to get 7 for the test. So we'll do the 6 first for pilot skill 3. And didn't work. So now I'm going to add the 1 dice for up to 7. And let's see if I get any. Holy, this is going to be hard because I didn't get not 1 ace. So none of them start advantage yet for the radar support. But now we're going to go on. I'm going to roll on the chart to see what they start as, if it's advantage, neutral, or disadvantage. Do the Spitfire first, and you can see the chart here again. Try to get the reflection down. If I roll 4 or 5 or 6 as advantage, 3 or 4 neutral, and 1 to 2 is disadvantage. So let's go for Spitfire. Oh, look what I got! So even though my radar was destroyed, this Spitfire starts advantage. Actually, that's another good point there, is this kind of is how you determine your advantage, not because of the dice, but these really cool bases. Got 3 sections, so disadvantage, looks like they're diving. Then you have neutral, which is in the neutral position. Then you have advantage, which means like they're climbing. So he's going to start in advantage. Okay, pilot skill number 4 now for the BF 109E. Got a 4. So he starts neutral, which he's already in. So now pilot skill number 3 starts disadvantaged. I did my deployment according to the rules in the scenario, and the way it is, you do it the length, but the Intruder, which has only 1 plane, because I chose 1 instead of 2, deploys first, and then these guys will deploy, and they do it with the length of this. Now, one thing I want to mention, that in the rulebook it does say that what is most important about the planes is that they travel in straight lines and you can turn, but again, you can only turn using this, or you can burn advantage and so forth and do a 180-degree turn if you want. And they have to move in straight lines, which means facing the plane is the most important in this game. You have to be able to face it properly to be able to make proper shooting and everything else. I just wanted to point that out. Taking a look at the quick reference sheet for the activation order. So when you're activating these planes, it goes to the advantage planes go first, and then you go from the highest to the lowest pilot skill. The neutral goes second from the highest to the lowest pilot skill, and disadvantage goes last from the highest to the lowest. That's for your activation order. And then when you activate a fighter, again, it says in the book to do all these in order. So the first thing would be shoot. Now, disadvantaged planes cannot shoot. And when you're shooting at another plane, you cannot shoot at planes that have a higher advantage level than you. You have to shoot only ones that have a lower disadvantage than you. Also it says burn advantage to either maneuver, turn up to 180 degrees at any point during the movement, dive at 6 inches to the speed, to the speed of this turn. So that's what a dive is. So burning advantage makes aeroplanes go from advantage to neutral to disadvantage. So that's number 2. Number 3 is move. So you don't move at the first, it's either shoot and then your advantage and then you move. So up to your speed and turn up to 45 degrees at the end of your turn, of your movement. An aircraft must always move at least half its speed. So you don't have to move the full speed. So like the Spitfires have a speed of 7. You can move half if you want, but you have to round up. You don't round down. So half of 7 is really, technically it's 7 is going to be 3.5, but you round up so it will be 4. And then you go on to pilot action. choose one. Shooting, repeat 1, which is shooting. So you get to shoot first, and then your pilot action, you get to shoot again. Outmaneuvering, compare your pilot skill to reduce enemies' advantage level by 1. Climbing, increase your aircraft's advantage level by 1. So pilot skill, pilot action, choose either one of these 3 things. Very simple. Number 5 is end of activation. Place one of them wing markers on a fighter base to show it has taken its turn. That is it. That's the meat and potatoes of how to play this game. All of them with the quick reference. And by the way, these quick reference sheets, you have 2 of them into the core box. So 1 for each player, so you don't have to keep passing it around. Very good. Let's keep looking at this quick reference sheet before we start playing the game. So it shows you disadvantage, neutral, and advantage. Advantage, flying base, gaming test. Shoot test is your firepower plus your pilot skill. So if you have a pilot skill of 4 and a fire test of 1, then you're going to have a total of 4 for your pilot skill, and plus 1 would be 5. So number of dice. Dodging test is your agility plus your pilot skill is the number of dice. Critical hit, 2 or more 6s score a critical hit. Apply -1 to agility when dodging if you get a critical hit. Retention test, pilot test. So this here is your pilot skill equals the number of dice if you're doing a retention test. Maneuver test is your agility plus your pilot skill. Your gunnery test is your firepower plus your pilot skill. Let's flip it over. This is a long clip, but this is an incredible quick reference sheet to have. I love this. So let's take a look at your movement. So this is how you do your movement. So if you want to move the Spitfire, just say, and it's 7 inches for it, so you start at the base of your movement gauge, which is right here. Let's just put that beside that. And then you go up to your 7, so it'd be here, and the back of the plane would be right there where the 7 is, or the back of the disc, not the plane, your base. So that is your movement, and your dive is you're going to move and then add 6 inches to this too as well. Let's look at turning, and this is where you use your measuring gauge so that you can turn. That's pretty self-explanatory. Same with your movement. Head-on attack. Dogfight time, baby. Shooting. 6 inches, so to do a head-on attack, you have to be within 6-inch range. Deflection shooting. Use your agility or your speed plus your pilot skill to dodge. So that's how you could do a dodge on a head-on attack. Or, no, this is for a side, because you can see here, up the reflection. Here again, facing is everything in this game. So head-on is facing to facing, but this here you can see you're shooting in the back arc of this for shooting. But if they're head-on, it's the same thing. So deflecting shooting, this is the head, and this is if you're shooting in the side of a plane. It's very difficult to hit on the side, and that's how you do a deflection shooting if you're shooting on the side. But if you're shooting on the back or front, it's that way, side is that way, and oh no, this is the back shooting, sorry, side shooting, and for your head-on attack, it's 6 inches this way. And you can see for your maneuvering, maneuvering, and again, by spending your pilot action, you can turn up to 180 degrees, but you can also, if you don't want to do that, you can move your distance. It got to be at least half, and then you use this to turn. That's it for that. Tailing, reduce enemy to disadvantage. So if you were here, it's going to reduce. It got to be 6 inches. You're reducing the enemy's disadvantage. So if they're advantage and you're tailing them, you're going to automatically drop them into neutral, or if they're neutral, they go to disadvantage. And for this one, which is wingman effect, so 6 inches again, and that thing happens here too as well. But you have to go, you can see these 90-degree angles. It is the arc of the base of the ship. And that is it for the quick reference sheet. Pretty simple. So now, what we're going to finally do is have some fun and play this game of Scenario 0, Intruder Fighter. Pew pew! we are now ready to finally do some battling in the skies, the unforgiving skies. As you can see, I have my two German planes, the BF-109E, I think they are, and my Spitfire over here too as well. Now, according to the scenario 0, they're classified as elements, so this squadron of 2 is one element, and when you deploy one element and there's more than one plane, they have to be within 3 inches of each other. Now the only difference is, because it is considered your wingman, so there's like the leader, which would be your pilot skill 4, and your wingman is pilot skill 3. Now, this is only during the deployment of the game. Once the game starts, they don't have to stick together, they can separate. So just keep that in mind. So in the book, it refers to as elements, and it just means planes, simply. And again, when we are activation, we have to follow activation in order. So all the advantage planes go first, but the highest to lowest pilot skill. So there's only one advantage plane on this board, and it is my Spitfire right there. He's pilot level 3, but because he's only pilot level 3, and there's one here that's a pilot skill of 4, he's in neutral, he's an advantage, so he goes first. So I'm going to set up to move him around the board. Hopefully he's going to get, remember the objective is to get on the opposite side. So he's flying in over France, taking recon pictures, and then flying away. The Spitfire decided he's just going to go in his maximum movement, which is speed of 7, so 7 inches, and he's not going to do a dive or anything because he wants to try to slowly make it up to take the pictures for the recons before he has to get out of there. So again, every movement has to move in a straight line, but at the end of your turn or beginning of your turn, you can do a 45 degree. Now I said previously that it's only at the end of your turn, but looking at other videos that were played, you can do the 45 degree turn either at the beginning or the end. You can do it in the middle if you have a certain card, such as tight turn. So you can do this at any time during your movement, and then you discard it. And that's the one for Spitfire, because they're known for the tight turn, because they're very maneuverable airplanes. But he's just going to move up his 7. So he's flying right there. As you can see, now he's not burning his advantage. He's not going to dive to go further, but he could do a dive right now if he wanted to. And what that means is with the dive, you add an extra 6 inches to your move. So he'd be able to move more than 7 inches. But you have to burn advantage, so he'd go from advantage to neutral. And then after that, what he could do is he could potentially just say like, hey, I did a dive and now I'm gonna go back up to advantage for my pilot skill. Or he may be in line to be able to take a pot shot at one of these planes. I don't know. I'm going to measure it. Now, in the game, you can pre-measure. Everything is legal to do. So I may measure in case if I do go up, do a dive, and then for my pilot skill to shoot. We'll see. I'm just going to do a little bit of pre-measuring and figure it out. As you can see, I decided to do my dive. So I burnt my advantage. So I forgot to do that, but I'm just showing you on camera. So that goes neutral now from advantage. And he did his dive, which is an extra 6 inches, which brings him to here. Now, there's no way that he's going to be in range. Now, again, I'm new to this game. That's your range ruler for shoot. And you can tell there's no way that's in range whatsoever. But that's okay. He's getting closer, which means he's getting closer to taking the pictures and taking off. So therefore, that was his move. He did that. He flew. Now what he's going to do for his pilot skill is he's going to climb again. So he can stay in the advantage level. Just like that. And that's it for the Spitfire. Now, according to activation, he was advantage, he went first, and then we go to neutral at the highest pilot skill, but we know that the only neutral is the number 4 right there for the Germans, the BF-109E. Now, he's going to go, then it's going to be him, and that will be the end of the turn. So let's see what I'm going to do for him. For this pilot skill number 4, he decides to just fly up his 7 inches, just like so. And all he's going to do is he's going to, for his pilot skill, he's going to go up to advantage. And that's going to be it for him. And also I'm putting his movement chit, or zoom chit, whatever way you want to call it, to there. Now, these play a very important part into the game. I can see this very quickly, and the reason why is because you have to mark what fighters or what pilots have went already. And if you forget to do this, you could be potentially moving your plane more than once, and that would be cheating, and that's not good. So always remember to use your zoom chit and put it on your plane when you're done your turn, and that's it. So for him, he's at disadvantage. I'm probably just going to try to keep them in formation. I'm going to fly up his 7, and I'm going to burn his advantage, or not burn his advantage, because his disadvantage. I'm going to use his pilot skill to go up. So again, placing it like so. He's flying to the 7, like that, and he's going to neutral. And that's all he's doing. Now, it's kind of hard to play this game with one hand because I'm holding the camera, because I have to move this. So you may see the camera kind of being a little wobbly or what have you. That's just because I'm trying to manage to do it while on camera. If not, I'll just stop the camera, move this, and then we'll continue on. And here we go. And there's the zoom chit, just to let know that he activated. Now, that is how quick one turn can go. But again, I'm only playing with 3 planes. If you're playing with with 6 planes, it's going to take a little longer, and so on and so forth. So I can see how this game can just go so much larger scale. It's crazy. But I am using it just for 3 planes. The scenario 0 in the book, because I've never ever played this game. The only thing it is, I opened up the packaging just to paint the miniatures, because they do come unpainted. The BF-109Es, if I do recall, they are a solid gray plastic resin. And for the Spitfire 2, they're a brown plastic resin. So, I just painted them up pretty easy. But other than that, I never even as much as looked at the rulebook until today when we started to play this game. But however, I did look up some videos on YouTube explaining it. And also, too, as well, as if you go to the YouTube channel for Warlord Games, they do have some instructional videos on this too as well. It's very, very helpful, because it's helped me in learning this, because I'll refer to the book. If I'm not sure about something, I will look at the videos and see if I can find it that way too as well. So just Google or YouTube search Warlord Games and then Blood Red Skies Battle of Britain, and you can find that too as well. So let's go on with the game. That's the end of turn 1, and we are on to turn 2. For round 2 now, I removed all the chits, and we go back to the Spitfire as first one, because he's an advantage. Actually, no, he's an advantage too. Oh, I didn't think about this. So because he's an advantage, he's actually going to be able to go first, because he has a higher pilot skill. He's a 4, he's a 3, and he's a 3 at neutral. So I was planning that the Spitfire is going, but because I forgot that he's a higher pilot skill, this BF-109E is going to be going first. This is interesting, because you may be able to get a deflection shot going on here. I see I measured everything. I was planning on doing like a head-to-head shooting right here to show that. But now he's going to go first, so that changes everything for me. So let me think about this. Since this guy's a 4, he's a veteran, so he has a little bit more flight experience than the other 2 planes. So what he's thinking of doing is he's going to fly up his 7, and he's going to make his 45-degree turn, and then he's going to shoot into that Spitfire, hopefully to take him down for his pilot action. And I think that's what he's going to do, try to end this, because they say, hey, this guy's coming and take pictures and report back, and we don't want that. So he's going to go, oh, he's flying his 7, which is right here. And then he is going to make his 45-degree turn, which I got to do off camera because I only have one hand, and then we're going to come back to see the shooting action going on. That's his 7th movement that I did. Now, I just checked it with the range, and it's definitely in range to shoot, but I'm going to show you about how you use your gauge for measuring. So you see the 2 arrows right here. So we put one arrow on the other arrow base, like so. And then you turn this, you're 45 degrees. Just like that. And that's it. But the thing is, now, this is still going to be a head-to-head, head-on attack or whatever, because this is your firing arc, you can see. Each ship got that. And if you look, he's in head-to-head for the firing arc. Him is straight on too as well. So either way, they are still head-to-head. What I wanted to do previously was do a head-on attack, and it's still a head-on attack. So this BF-109E is going to take a shot at the Spitfire 2 for head-on. Now, there's rules that talk about in the book for the head-on attack. I'll show you those rules, and we'll talk about it before we actually start rolling the dice here. As you can see in the book here for head-on attacks could be highly effective during World War II, but they were always risky. A shooting attack that comes at the front arc of the target plane is called a head-on attack. In this case, the target is allowed to counterattack by shooting back regardless of the advantage state. So if we look at the two planes here, both of them are already in advantage. But just say that this plane was disadvantaged and it was a head-on attack. Even though it's disadvantaged, the rule is that disadvantaged planes cannot shoot. But regardless of the advantage level, because it's a head-on attack, they are able to shoot. But in this case, it don't matter because both of them are at advantage, and they're going to shoot. Now, for a head-on attack, it is 6 inches you have to be within, and it's got to be in the front arc, which I did show you previously that they are the front arc. And I measured the distance between the two, and it is 5 3/4 inches. So because of that, there's going to be just a shootout going on here, head to head. Woohoo! Back to the book, it also explains the exchange of shooting attacks is simultaneous and is resolved even if one of the planes involved is shot down. So even though that one plane is shooting before the other, you have to imagine that because they are head-on, they both see each other, both of them are going to fire at the same time. So both planes could potentially go down, or they could get a boom chit going on. And if the Spitfire gets a boom chit, which is that it was shot at, not a zoom chit, but a boom chit, then if he gets one more, then phew, he's out of the game. He just takes off. He's like, forget this, I'm going to take it to pictures. Continuing on with this, the target aircraft attacks are assumed to be in the front arc too, so there is no need to position the range template at all. And what that means is this is assumed to be the front because they are in the front arc. You don't have to put the range template because, it is 5.5 inches right there. So because of that, they're just going to go to it and shoot each other and see what happens. Before we end up rolling the dice, I just want to explain a little bit more. I just kind of looked more in depth into the rules about shooting and so forth. So both of these planes are at advantage. Now, if they shoot, this guy's going to shoot and he's going to shoot. Now, if he dodges, then he still gets which is called a boom chit. And the boom chits look just like this. Now, if you get more boom chits equal to the amount of planes you started the game with, then that team is considered to disengage and fly away because they're like, you know what? Took too much hits, we're done. Now, for to actually destroy a plane in combat, to shoot it down, something has to happen. You have to make sure it's at disadvantage before you shoot, and when you shoot it, and if it's disadvantage and the hit goes through and they don't dodge it, then that plane is considered to be destroyed. But in this instance, where both planes are at advantage level, if he shoots and he's not able to dodge that, he's going to get a boom chit for number one before he tries to dodge. And number two, if he fails to dodge, instead of being shot down automatically, even though he's in advantage, what will happen is he'll go to neutral. And then the next time he'd get hit, go to disadvantage. And if he's hit at disadvantage and fails to dodge, then the plane is considered to be destroyed. And that's with every game that you're going to play. But because this is only a one-player game, if he gets one chit onto it, one boom chit, what probably will happen is, I'm just flipping through the book again just to make sure that that is correct, what I'm saying here, that what will happen is then that plane just flies away. It's like, forget this, I don't even want to be here anymore. I'm just going to refer to the rules, show you the page number where that is for anybody who's wondering. In the rules booklet, now again, this here is not the expanded rules, this is just the rules booklet. As soon as you open it up and it's on page 3, it gives you the reason of how you can win the game. Now, reading this, and I said if he gets 1 boon chit, he's still going to be in the game because you have to have more boon chits than what you have with the planes, not equal to. So he needs 2 boon chips to be able to take off and disengage and not bother trying to take recon pictures anymore, or be destroyed. And that's how that works. So hopefully that clarifies stuff for you. It does for me, certainly, and you will see it in action right now because we're going to go on to shooting. Because he moved up and he did his 45-degree turn, and we figured out that it is head-on attack, so both are going to shoot simultaneously, and we're going to see if one of these aircrafts get a hit, or, you know, and then they can't dodge, and then they're going to drop an advantage level. Let's see what happens. First off, the German Bf-109E, which is the leader of the 2 because they got a higher pilot skill, is shooting first. So the way you calculate how many dice you roll for the shoot is you take the pilot skill, so that's going to be 4 dice, just like so. And on top of that, you are going to add up their firing characteristic, which I showed previously from the card. It's kind of like the circle with the firepower going through. It's in orange, and he has 1. So in total, he's shooting with 5 dice. I was going to say 6. Can't even add right now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dice. And the only thing that is successful is 6s. So let's go if he's going to hit him once. Oh, look at that. He got 1 hit. So he definitely hits him once. So before he even gets a chance of dodging it, the Spitfire dodging, he's going to take a boon chit first off. Now, this brings me to another example. Just say on the roll that I rolled 2 or more of these spades. What would happen there? It's considered a critical hit. And during a critical hit, what happens is when you tally up the dice for the dodge, you're going to minus 1 dice from the pool that you roll from because this was a critical. But he only got hit him once, so it's just 1. He takes a boon chit, and then on top of that, now the Spitfire is going to try to dodge. If he don't dodge and gets hit, he gets knocked down to neutral level. And for the dodging for the Spitfire here, you take the pilot skill, he's a 3, and you take their agility, or their maneuverability, which is 3 on the card. It's the second one, it's in blue, and it's got like a swoop with the plane. I've showed it before anyhow. But that's what you do, you total add them up. Now again, if he had a critical, you would add 3 plus 3 is 6 and take 1 away, but he didn't get a critical, so he gets the dodge with 6 dice. And again, all he needs is 1 of the spades to be able to dodge it. And he does, he gets to 1 spade. So he don't drop down to neutral, he stays in advantage, but he does get a boon chip. Oh, that's the wrong card. Woo, there we go. So the boon chip goes right here. Now, that is it. Gets a boon chip. Now, if he gets 1 more boon chip, he's in trouble. Because that just means he's gonna, you know, just fly away because he's too scared to try to take the pictures. Now we're on to the other advantage pilot skill, which is 3, and it is the Spitfire. On to the Spitfire's turn. Now he's at advantage as well as his opponent is at advantage and neutral, you can see here. I already have the range ruler out here because I was doing a couple of calculations and thinking of what's the best thing to do. Now, I could just try to turn 45 and then fly to try to get off the table edge, which would take me like maybe 2 more turns to get off. But the problem is, you know, I know that's the objective of the game and all, but I don't want it to be kind of a one-sided game here by just flying off the table edge. I gotta make it a little more interesting for us because it just helps learn the game more. So I looked in the book and see if there's any other options I can do. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do is I'm going to try to do which is an outmaneuver test with this guy right here. So what you do there is first compare the pilot skill. So this is a 3. and that's a 4. So he's going to have to do a maneuver test to try to outmaneuver this pilot. Now just say, for instance, he said, you know what, I plan on going to fly here, and I'm going to outmaneuver this. Now, because this plane is further away from this one, he adds a +1 to his pilot skill, so he'd go up to 4. But just because of that, I'm still going to stick with this guy because he's putting a little bit more threat into the Spitfire here. So the first thing I would do, again, this is probably a bad decision to do, but I just want to make this video a little bit more informative and more exciting. So because of that, he is going to try to outmaneuver first. So he's going to burn his advantage. So he goes to disadvantage. Now, he's going to try to do the outmaneuver thing. Now, for the outmaneuver, what happens in this case now is it's pretty simple. And that is, he's going to have to create a maneuver test. He's going to have to do a maneuver test. And how you do a maneuver test is you take your pilot skill, you add your agility to, which this one is a 3 for the Spitfire. So it's going to be 3 plus 3 is 6. Now he's going to have to get at least one success, which is 1/6. And if he does, and it successfully does that, and this is going to automatically drop him from advantage to disadvantage. Or not disadvantage, but to neutral, because he goes in one step. Now, let's do the roll and see what happens here. So again, it's 6 dice. So let's get the 6 dice ready here. We got 2, 4, 6. So we got our 6 dice already. And again, he just needs to roll 1/6. Come on, you can do it, Spitfire. I know you can. He does. Bam. Look at that. So he successfully passed the outmaneuver test. That's good. Now, if he did not pass the outmaneuver test, I have a card here which is High Altitude Performance. It's bonus Great Climb. On an advantage-friendly plane using the outmaneuver pilot action, the pilot gains +2 to their skill for the attempt. A +2 to their skill. So that would mean that I could add 2 to this one to get to there if I wanted to. That's the way that I'm interpreting this card. Again, this is the first time I played this game. I could be totally wrong. Who knows? But if I am wrong, please comment down below, refer to a page number, what manual it's in, and say, this is the way you do this test. But because of that, I didn't need it, because you can see I made 1/6, so I did pass. I didn't need to use that card or anything. So this thing goes, boom, just like that. So he is down to neutral. Now, he's going to move ahead for his, and his movement is 7. So he's going, flying up here. Now for his pilot skill, for his end thing, what he's going to do is he's going to, now he could shoot, but if he shoots, that's another head on right there. And that means he'd get another chit. And if he gets another boom chit, then he's just flying away, like I said numerous times. But he's going to go to advantage. What's the point of going to advantage? Because this plane is at neutral, this plane is at neutral. Neutrals, which are at lower levels, cannot shoot an advantage plane, what I'm gathering from the rules. So because of that, they can't shoot at him, and he's fine where he is. You can see I have the measuring tape here, but what he's decided to do first off is he can't shoot because he is in neutral and he is in advantage state. So you cannot shoot a plane that has a higher advantage level onto you. But what he's going to do though is he's going to burn his advantage and drop him to disadvantage. And the reason why he's going to do that is he's going to try to do an outmaneuver to drop him down to neutral instead. So the way to do that again is his 3 for his pilot skill plus 3 for his maneuverability, which gives him 6 dice. You can see right there. And all he needs is 1. Uh-oh. He failed. Failed miserably. But I have a card here which I had laying on the side, as you can see on camera. And this is Seasoned Pilot. It's bonus Great Climb. In reaction to a friendly plane failing a maneuver test, which you just did, the plane re-rolls the dice of the maneuver test. And this is a pilot test, so it's not something that you discard. It's something that you can keep going. So he gets to re-roll it. Whoops. Oh, there goes one of the dice. All right, grab another one. That's why I buy more of them. And he just needs to pass it. Oh, he definitely passed it. So that Spitfire 2 goes down to neutral from advantage. So he just, shook his wings a little bit saying, I'm coming at you. And now he goes to there, which is neutral. Now he can do the rest of his turn now. So what he's going to do is he's going to go up to, do that. Move up to his 4, and then just do like a 45-degree turn. Or should he pass him? I don't know. I'm just going to stay there. Why not? And I'm going to move my 45 degrees, just like so. And for my pilot skill, I'm going to do a climb action, which brings him back to neutral. Just like that. Woo! And that ends, and then you put the chit here, but that ends round 2, so we get rid of the chits, we reset everything, delete the planes where they are, and we go on to round 3 to see what's going to happen. We're on to the next round, and you can see I have the measuring gauge here already because I already decided what I'm going to do here. Now, according to activation, this is where it's going to definitely come in beneficial for the BF-109Es because they're all at the same level. But you can see number 4 goes first because no one is at advantage. We're all at neutral, but he's going to go first. And what he's going to do, it's pretty simple. Obviously, you can tell what it is. He's going to fly, but he's only going to fly his minimum of 4, you can see right there. And then he's going to do the measuring gauge. Oops. Keep hitting that. So just like that. And he's going to turn like so. Because he's turned him like that, he's tailing him. Because he's in his tail range. Because if you look, how should I grab this? So if you look for the outskirts right there, you can see he is in the end of it, or the back end of the Spitfire. So he's in the tail, so that brings me to a good idea to tail him, and I'm going to explain what the tail rules consist of. Looking in the rule book, the general rule book, it's page 15 on the rules booklet. You have a heading of tailing. Now with tailing, I just noticed this, so I got it wrong. So I'm just going to read this to correct everything. But you can see I never changed the angle of the planes. I kept it. That was my decision. I thought I was able to tail. But unfortunately I'm not. And the reason why I can't tail where I am is simply because a plane counts as tailing an enemy when it finishes its movement with its facing arrow pointing directly towards the rear arc of the enemy plane and within range of the template's length, which is 6 inches. I'm not going to read the rest. Actually, I might as well read the rest as well. So tailing reduces the enemy plane to a disadvantaged state. So it don't matter if you're in advantage. If you're being tailed, you get dropped down to disadvantage right away. There's no ongoing effect for tailing, and it only comes into play when a plane ends its movement and before it takes its pilot action. So you cannot climb for advantage and then claim a tailing position. A plane can only claim to be tailing one enemy plane per turn. Tailing is most commonly used to set up an immediate shooting action. So because my front arrow right there, it's not pointed directly, it's pointing forward, so I'm able to shoot still because I'm in the firing arc of his back, but I'm not in tailing position. Which, it's still okay. It's not great, but it's okay because we're still in the firing arc. Just to further explain about the tailing, a plane cannot claim to be tailing an enemy if it's disadvantaged. itself, or if it is in the front arc of a neutral or advantage enemy playing within 6 inches. We call this wingman. So you can see a good example here. So let's just show you a little more visual here. So where this is at, if by chance this was a Spitfire and not a German, and he was behind, he's in the front arc, he's neutral, or he could be advantage. He'd be in the front firing arc, so therefore he wouldn't be able to tail because it is a wingman. He's got his back, his wing, for this case. So that's what that means. But because I'm still able to take a shot at this, I'm going to try to shoot down, or at least give another boom chit to this Spitfire to finish the game off. Let the onslaught of fire commence. So he's going to shoot the Spitfire, and he gets his pilot skill of 4, so that's 4 dice. Like so. And he also gets 1 for his firepower, what's on his card. So he gets 5 dice to shoot. So let's go to the rolling, and let's see. All he needs is 1-6. Whoa-oh. He hits him for 1. Do you know what that means? We're just going to roll the dodge regardless, but if we dodge or not, he gets a boom chit onto him, and that means it's 1 more boom chit than what they are aircrafts. So unfortunately the Spitfire is going to go like, no way, I'm flying away, forget this. But before that, let's just see what the Spitfire would have done. For the Spitfire to do the dodge, even though at this point of the game it don't really matter because he's just flying away. But to do that, your pilot skill of the Spitfire is 3, plus his maneuverability, agility is 3 on the card. So it's 6 dice. All he needs is roll 1 success to be able to dodge it. Oh boy, but he don't dodge it. So 2 things happen here. First thing that happens is that the Spitfire was unable to dodge, so one of the bullets did penetrate his airplane hull. So he goes at disadvantage now, which is not a good thing. But the worst thing of that hit, it just scared him because he's like, you know what, I think I'm leaking gas because it just ricocheted and cut a little hole into the fuselage of my plane. The gas is starting to leak out. All the lights are lighting up onto my dashboard. I got to get the heck out of Dodge because there's 2 planes and obviously they're pretty skilled. I can't take the pictures, so I got to fly away. He gets a boom chit. So there's 2 of them to 1 plane. 1 plane. So because of that, he's like, oh boy, yep, I'm flying away. See you later, fellas. I'll send somebody else with the recon. And that's it. That ends the game of the scenario number 0, Intruder Flight for Blood Red Skies, Battle over Britain. Whew, that was pretty fun, I have to say. I enjoyed it immensely. I loved it. I actually did. I love Warlord games, I have to say. Now, it was unfortunately a German victory. The Bf-109E stopped the Intruder from coming doing recon pictures. They managed to hit him. They didn't destroy the Spitfire, but they managed to hit him enough so that it scared him to fly out of there. And that's just the way it goes sometimes in war. All's fair in war. It's supposed to be love in war, but this is just war. Hope you enjoyed this game, BoardGameManiacs, because I liked demoing this game for you. If you would like to see more scenarios played on our channel for Blood Red Skies, give us a thumbs up. If you're not already subscribed to the BoardGameManiacs channel on YouTube, click the subscribe button and comment down below and let me know if you want to see any more scenarios for Blood Red Skies played here on the channel. Also too as well, remember if I made any rules mistakes, to just comment down below and say refer to the rule book or the expanded rule book, page so-and-so. This is what you did at this time in the video. Do a timestamp if you can, if possible, that would be great. And also do a timestamp and then explain the rules so that I learn, because everybody watching this video helps me learn the games a lot better that we play on the channel. because of you, the viewers watching, giving us content. I appreciate it very, very much because it helps me out and it makes me go further and further with playing these games here on BoardGameManiacs. And plus, when I get other maniacs on the channel to play the game, I'm more informed with the rules. We get less rules mistakes, or no rules mistakes, and it's a more enjoyable game. Either way, it's an enjoyable game, whether you make rules mistakes or not. But hopefully, I did not make any mistakes, I should say here. Please comment down below if I did. So until next time, BoardGameManiacs, you know what I'm going to say. That's right. I want you to communicate with people in one form or another. Communication is key to life. But most importantly of all, and that is, be a maniac.